Hi, everyone. I'm Shayna J., founder of One Heart Mission. And I have requested, and am privileged to have had a yes to the question that brought Dr. Tom Garcia back online with me to have a discussion. We got so excited about the last time we talked on Mastering the Moment that we thought we would bring up another discussion on another topic. And today we're thinking about what is the consciousness looking for, wanting, praying for right now. And I want to hear your point of view, Tom. So thank you so much for being here and making this request that we come in again together and see what happens. We
Thank
don't
you, Shayna.
script this. We just kind of let it flow from our hearts and
No, I have a script.
you have a
Let me
script
get my
that's not of your own mind.
let me get my notes.
You blended being you.
Yeah, both of us. Oh, sorry about
Oh,
that. These notifications.
okay.
It's my daughters. They're like they need immediate access all the time.
Well,
I even have a do not disturb sign on my door.
hey, your dad, I wish I could say that. I wish I had my dad to be able to
Oh,
count them.
yeah.
I haven't since I was 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been a
I'm
huge missing for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I count my blessings.
Please do. And give your daughters an extra hug for me.
All right.
I'm so grateful. And today's Karen's birthday.
It is. I
Nice.
don't even know how old she is, but she's the love of my life, and I just gave her a big acknowledgement. That she really wanted to hear, needed to hear, and
You did. You did. Gave her a beautiful tribute in
yeah,
Facebook. Your post was beautiful. Thank you for
and it's
doing that.
all true.
Well, and showing the
It's
men,
all true.
how to take your heart and put it into words that is truth.
Yeah.
I know it's truth. I know it's not a made up Hallmark card. That would never,
No.
your words didn't sound like that at all.
Oh, good. It didn't. I didn't exaggerate a bit, and I even found
No.
my humor in the situation too, of just the the beauty and the blessing of it all.
Yeah. She is a
So
blessing.
yeah, yeah, she
I'm
is.
very grateful for both of you. You're
Thank you.
both contributing a lot to the world. That's huge.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So what do you think, what do you feel, with your time at the fire,
Mhm.
what do you feel is the pulse of humanity right now with this lockdown that we've been in for about a year, and it's
Mhm.
maybe lightening up in some areas but tightening up in others, so we still are unknown
Yeah.
and living in the unknown, that's a big lesson that I learned a long time ago and am still learning.
Yeah.
What's your feeling about that? About what the consciousness may be yearning for or needing or wanting right now?
Yeah. This is a great question, and you know, I can only give my perspective, right? Like we were saying earlier, I haven't polled like a million people.
Right,
I don't have a finger in a million or thousands of pies,
right.
but I do listen, and when I go to the fire, I make a fire. I listen. I wait until the fire starts to give it up, and then I take good notes. I listen and take good notes, and then there's so much that comes in, like it's like a big download, and I can't write it all down. All I can do is just like absorb it,
Right.
and um, I'll tell you, when the whole pandemic was like started to kick into gear, I went to the fire. I wasn't asking about that specifically, but I had a feeling I was going to get something about it. And one of the things that my guides told me was the safest place is in ceremony.
Yes.
It's the safest place to be, which I understood to mean that to the extent that we create ceremony for ourselves in little ways and big, it's the safest place for us to put ourselves. We're protected, we're connected, we're um, grounded, we're connected to source.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge get, like, okay. And they also said, and share your ceremony, make it big and make it loud. And I started sharing it
Yeah.
with people.
Wow.
And
And people are
and that
responding.
was, that was a move for me because
Yeah.
I'd always held it so privately and so personally. It's like, now you want me to share this?
Yeah.
Oh my, you know.
Oh my.
But it's one of the best things I've ever done. And also too, in the question, it depends on where we tap into the consciousness about it. You know what I mean? Like at the lower levels, it's just survival. I want relief. I can't pay my bills. I've lost my job. Whatever the case might be at the dire end of the spectrum. And then I think at the higher levels, it's wake up. We are all being called to awaken, and that's, I think, at the highest levels. That's what we're yearning for. Is that snapping out of it. Like when you're in a deep sleep and somebody's trying to wake you up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels that way to me. It's like I'm just trying to like open my eyes
Right.
and get conscious. And
Yeah.
so I think that's the louder call. That's the one I hear.
Yeah. Yeah. And along with that, for me, I'm feeling like it's right alongside of that is that the awakening. We don't know what comes first, the chicken or the egg here, or the connection with divine awareness, consciousness, that
Yeah.
we are that in addition to our personalities, problems, and concerns, and worries, and doubts, and fears, and all that. In addition, we still are the divine connection. And how do you continue to live your life? Like, I love this wording you said, blended being, where we're
Mhm.
a blended being of the personality and the divine that lives and is alive within us, and also wants to inform us, so we stop being private and get out of our way and move into not necessarily a public arena, but a place where you're not afraid to say the things that you're getting, and that you're awake to what really is going on around you, and the veils are coming off, and you're peeking through and going, your awareness goes, oh, for me it's always like, wow. And of course, it just rings so true. It always surprises me when I first get something. And I know it didn't come from my own mind, because I know what my own mind can say. Its limitation is just extraordinary. And then I'm so used to that conversation. But the minute I hear something that's more alive and true, and I know it's divine speaking through me or to me, so that
Yeah.
I'll open up and share that with others.
Yeah. I caught what you said about not necessarily being called to a public arena. I think that's what you said.
Right.
But what came into my mind was a connected arena,
Yes.
to connect ourselves to one another, to our community, to our families in a deep way.
Yeah.
And um,
A deeper way than we're
a
used
deeper way.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
your
There is
your
some.
your tribute, I can't think of a better word right now, to Karin, it proves that. You know, those are not typical words that you would say when it's your wife's birthday.
No.
You wish her a
And you
happy
know,
birthday for being a great mom and a great wife, and hope you have another, a year to celebrate. And one common phrase I used to hear from my mother's friends was, "Oh, I think I'll keep her." And I was like, "Oh, that's funny." It made me laugh, but on a deep level, I was like, "What? That doesn't that doesn't feel right."
yeah. Well, on that note, you know, I sat here last night and I put a picture up of her that I love and just contemplated who this woman is for me. And then
Mm.
I started to write and it just flowed out. what she means to me, how it was when I met her, when I saw her for the first time holding a platter of food. And I just knew that's the one.
Yeah.
And it
Wow.
and it and it banished from my mind forever all the concerns I'd had up to that point, that maybe I wasn't going to ever find the one.
Wow.
There was lots of come close to the one, but not the one. And then there she was. And that's when I said, the song from Don Juan DeMarco, have you ever really loved a woman,
Oh God.
started playing in my mind. It was like, that really happened, and babe, maybe I'm amazed by the Beatles.
It's
It
beautiful.
sounds corny, but it really happened.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it doesn't sound corny. It's beautiful that those were the things that came to you, the music, the rhythm of what your heart was feeling.
Mhm.
It's beautiful.
Now, also, my wife and I are apart. She's in Arizona working, and I'm here in Colorado working. And we go back and forth, and there's the distance between us has made it even more precious when we're together. But
Yeah.
similarly, these COVID times and the social distancing and the isolation has caused there to be a distance between people physically, and it's also been the catalyst for us to find ways to reach out in other ways, because minds are connected. That we're all connected. And
Absolutely.
so we get to like we get to um, sort of ignore the body a little bit more to find other ways to connect energetically,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. It's not always the chemistry that is the connection. It's love from a deeper way. And then how, so what I'm hearing you say is one of the things you learned, and I also learned during this time when I haven't been around people very much, which I when I'm used to being around lots of people and calling in groups and
Mhm.
in person and getting hugs, is how to value and how to learn how to value the ones close to you,
Mhm.
and also how to deepen your personal connection with the divine that you are, and start to feel that energy more. Let that energy grow up inside of you, wake you up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel more connected than I've ever felt in my life
me too.
before this time, because now I'm reaching out to people. There's more Zoom, there's more, telephone conversations, and it's quality. Like, I don't spend time with people I don't really want to spend time with, or, it's like not the highest or best use of my time. But, I wanted to share something else too. I wrote this article this morning about how life is more like a bundt cake, a pound cake, than it is a pie.
Okay.
How we've all learned that, your life is like a pie, and you've got all these slices that, your finance, career, family, spirituality, they
Right.
all have kind of an equal segment. And it struck me that the model was flawed, that
Hmm.
really life was more like a bundt cake. you know the middle is a space, and in that space is peace and joy, and our which are words that are synonymous for God.
Huh.
And it's from that center that everything else radiates. And
Yes.
if we pay attention to our relationship with the creator and cultivate that connection every day, the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah.
I know you know what I'm talking about. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. Like, oh
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah,
true.
because in the old model, do you want to describe that? Because that's the key, is looking at it differently. Like the old model is what?
Well, the old model, I have a great analogy for that. The old model is like the four food groups, which has been obsolete for a long time. We gave the same value to grains and bread as we did to milk and butter and
Yeah,
meat,
yeah,
vegetables. And then
yeah,
there was the pyramid, which was closer, but it still wasn't quite accurate. And then you have to wonder, to what interests are these models beholden to? That's just
yes, yeah. The pyramid meaning Maslow's hierarchy of
Oh,
needs.
no, the food pyramid.
The
I
food
think they
pyramid.
had like fruits and vegetables at the bottom, and at the top was fats and oils.
Yeah,
Well, that's not how I eat. I eat a high fat diet, and I'm not fat.
yeah,
So that kind of puts the lie to that model.
right.
But So the pie, the pie that we see, and then each segment of the pie are those things I mentioned, family life, career, finances, spirituality, recreation, till basically 8 pieces, right? And when I realized that as I deepen my own connection with source in a very fundamental way, not religiously fundamental, just fundamental. Like I went to the woods, I went to the fire, and I broke it down. I'm like, show yourself to me, and I'm not going home until you do. And that began my conversation with God, if you will.
Yeah.
And um, so, and it dawned on me that the center of our life is really that connection from which all else is sourced, you
Right.
know. And to the extent that we neglect that connection is to the extent that we struggle and suffer. And, I've had my fair share of it. And to always know that you have that to go back to. That's your resource. Well, you said that, source and resource.
Source to resource. Exactly.
Yeah,
Source
right.
to resource.
Yeah.
I'll do,
Yes.
when it feels right, because, so much of the world doesn't feel right in your body. But when it
Right.
feels right, you want to go toward that. And that helps
Right.
you grow, even if you're scared. Even if
Yeah.
it's scary, if it feels right, you still want to go toward it to see what it is that's coming to you. What's the opportunity? What's the growth? What's
Mhm.
the opening? I know it took me, after studying the Course in Miracles, it started in 1987, and I fell off the cliff in 1997. And I was 10 years committed to that course because I knew, I did ancillary programs too. I did
Mhm.
the S training, the forum, and I did another oneness group, and I did, other team things. And no, the Course of Miracles, that was it. That
Yeah.
was ringing true on every level. And
Same here.
so, yes.
Mhm.
And so, but I became like, what is this time delay? I'm asking for spirit to divine connection to be strong in me without, so that my mind doesn't have to be the default pattern.
Yeah.
And 10 years later, I wake up in a hospital with 22 broken bones and I go, oh, here it is.
Here's my wake up call. Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
And there was no way, after praying for it for 10 years, really, there was no way I was going to deny it or move away from it. I was going to bring in everything it could possibly offer me, and
Mhm.
including changing my own mind about who I thought I was.
Yes. Now, do you remember the date of your accident?
Oh, of course, it was April 26th, because that's my second birthday.
I want to share something with you because this is really interesting. I was just
Okay.
on a coaching call with my coach, life coach Shakti Dudley, and she said to me her date, that she just said, "This is the date that I was woken up," and she said it to me. I said, "I know my date too. It was August 11th, 2009. You know your date."
Wow.
So those of us that have been like shook awake like that, we know when it happened, like your own birthday. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and it's like everything changed after that.
Everything literally, and I wouldn't let anything else come into my world that wanted to influence me like I was so easily influenced before.
Yeah. Why I'm laughing is
Why?
I had my awakening and I started going to the woods like religiously, devotedly, making fire, laying out an altar, praying, journaling, taking good notes, like I said. And that's, the voice that came to me came on really strong. And I knew it distinct from my own voice, like you alluded to earlier.
Right.
And I would write down what it said. And this ceremony, I say, came roaring through me. It's like this whole expression came through me. And it was funny how I was about it, because I recognized certain elements of it. It felt native, it felt Celtic, it felt otherworldly, it felt, Eastern. But I did not want to read or hear or see anything that was going to tell me how to do it. I think I said this before, and it still is strong in me. I wanted my own undiluted, uncontaminated experience of source coming through me
Yes.
until I knew that I had it.
Right.
And once I knew that I had it, then I opened myself up to these other things and saw all kinds of parallels, all kinds of connected wisdom, that I realized the wisdom is in the field. So all these various religions and paths and disciplines and ways of practice, they're connected in the field to universal wisdom. And the Course, A Course in Miracles, is universal wisdom. And I see it played out everywhere, congruently, consistently, and in my own practice, and then my own guidance.
Uh-huh.
So it was just a beautiful confirmation, validation.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful, just like I think you were thankful, that you didn't let anything else come in to disturb your the strengthening of that connection as it
That's
was being formed and developed.
Yeah, thank you. It's wonderful to hear how congruent our pathways have been.
Mm,
Yeah, it took a lot of inner. At first it looked like discipline. At first it looked like willpower, and then I realized, no, the true power of the divine is much stronger than me. All I have to do is surrender, keep surrendering to it. It doesn't take any
yeah,
willpower to keep it going or to keep it growing inside of me. It doesn't take really any discipline. It just takes surrendering. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm getting some news now. The news
yeah,
I really want to hear, not by turning on the TV,
yeah,
it's the real news,
yeah, yeah.
the
It's
pure news.
straight from the source news. I don't know if I said this to you before, but I was in the woods, deep into the night, and I'm hearing noises, things crackling and popping, and it kind of, I was a little bit freaked out at times, not really scared, but I'm just like, what is that? Then I
Yeah.
realized I was the scariest thing in the forest, and things were moving away from me, not toward me. It was a realization, like things are moving away from me, not
What?
toward this man and his fire. And
Wow.
and there I was kneeling before the fire, and
That's a
I was
beautiful insight, Tom. Just let me take that in. That is a beautiful insight that you were the thing that the forest, the naturalness was moving away from, not
yeah,
because you were bad or anything, but what our own consciousness has done to our lives, to think that we are to be afraid of everything else around us.
yeah, yes.
Instead
And
of
that was also, oh, go ahead.
instead of
Yeah,
just being that, there's a natural flow, and maybe things are really more afraid of you than you could ever be of them. That's a beautiful insight. I mean, that's huge.
yeah. Thanks for pointing that out, because what occurred out of that, this is great, because so many things have occurred for me or happened, and I've kind of forgotten that they're wedded to my being, and I've kind of forgotten that where they came from. But
Mhm.
after that time, I really started feeling more connected to the earth and to everything that moved on the earth.
Uh,
Even if it was moving away from me, my being about it was, I mean you no harm. I'm safe. I
wow.
come in peace. Really, like that. I come in peace, like an
Wow.
alien coming from another planet.
Wow.
And in some ways, maybe that's how it is. We're kind of alien beings here, um, intruding upon the existing life forms that are already here.
Yeah.
So when I do a blessing, and I'm honoring the directions, the last thing I say is I offer a welcome to the mystery, those things about which we know nothing, like nothing. but are here with us all the same.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
To say, I come in peace, even if I don't know you or understand whatever you might be, you know.
Right. Or what you represent, or what my concepts might be about you.
Yes, there are
That's
things
beautiful.
out there. I think there's energies in the world that we just have no concept of.
Yeah.
Like if you think about what's 10 feet below the earth, there's a life going on in there that we don't even have any awareness of. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
grubs and worms and the mycelium and the
Oh, yeah.
root can, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yes. Well, right. It's just like being inside your body,
Yeah,
and
stuff going on there. Who has any idea?
nobody, I mean, well, I have quite a good idea, but that's what I was taught. That seemed to be my destiny of what I was to learn, was
Huh?
what goes on inside the body, how it all interconnects to everything
Yes.
else, that's, and that we think that if we hurt something, that and we feel the pain in a different area, that it's somehow unrelated. But the truth is that the energy goes throughout your body, and a pain in one place may be the pain in another place as well, and they just
Yeah.
are the two things that want to have your attention right away. So the same is
Yes.
true under the earth, with our earthquakes and our gold and our oil, and the nature, how what is living there with looks like no air. That's not true. And
Yeah.
looks like no food, also not true.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
Everything is alive on every layer of the
Yeah.
earth's core. So we're and we think that we live in a separate place,
Right.
like we are not that. How we talked about we presence the unknown, living in the unknown earlier. When you wake up to that, you're the same as everyone else, only the other persons have different experiences that you are, but the body functions the same. Divine intelligence gave the body, just like it gave the seed of a plant, the exact intelligence that it needs to grow that food or that flower for you, or because you chose to plant it.
Yeah.
And so that intelligence lives within us. And when your third eye awakens, it's awakening to divine intelligence.
Yes. Yes. I love what you're saying. And um, something that occurs for me is, and it's kind of, it goes back to what I said just a little bit ago, is that, um, and you also spoke to it beautifully, this expanded awareness of what's happening in the body. But even with all of that, and the science is so like smart, about what's happening in the body and about DNA and viruses. And, you see the spread, the full page spread in Time Magazine or National Geographic.
Yeah,
And then we think we know something
yeah,
about what's really happening.
yeah,
And there is so much we don't know. One of
right.
my favorite sayings is, the larger the island of knowledge, the longer the shoreline of wonder.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so the the danger, if you will, often comes when we think we know something and we really don't. We've left so much out. But you spoke to it, the divine intelligence.
Yeah.
In chiropractic, I studied all the ologies, microbiology and embryology and physiology. And you'd I would read about things happening, like a hormone was stimulated to cause this, and then the body secreted that, right? Like it just happened, but never thought, what made it happen? How did it happen?
Power one.
And it wasn't until I read a chiropractic volume about chiropractic physiology in that philosophy that I understood it's the innate intelligence, it's the divine intelligence within us that knows what to do when.
Exactly.
And we think we know better than that?
Exactly.
No way. Not
Exactly.
even close.
Exactly. It's so hard to God, I love this, because what we're doing is we're opening up paradigms here.
Hmm.
of the way we conceptualize life. And because we can conceptualize and think that we're right because somebody taught us, and then maybe we proved it to ourselves, so then we're doubly right. But there's even still so much more than that. It's because, like, I was talking to my daughter the other day, and I have been, so I'm just going to open up a little box here. I have been an anti-vaxxer for many, many years. I just don't believe in it. I believe the body has its own divine right, and that's even before I fell. When I knew it to be true and knew it because I didn't think it, it happened to me. And so she's telling me, my daughter is telling me that a lot of her husband's family have COVID. Some have been in the hospital, and some are out now, and they're, thank God, doing very well. And I said to her, well, then they won't have to be vaccinated because the body has now created the vaccine for it because its own intelligence it build up the immunity so they won't have to be vaccinated. She said, what? So I gave her a little longer, history than I'm going to do here. But the thing is that that's a concept, and right now it's a big concept, that because a lot of people believe you have to get vaccinated, even if you were an anti-vaxxer, you could change your mind. Absolutely, you could change your mind. Nothing wrong in that. But you could change your mind. What I'm pointing to is only because the consciousness is talking about it a lot
Uh-huh.
and trying to give you a convincing argument that you'll die, when in fact people have died just by being vaccinated. And that's all I really want to say about that.
I know that's a deep rabbit hole,
I
and all of a sudden you can garner all kinds of opposition to your words. And the danger of that too
know.
is people stop hearing you altogether.
Yeah,
Well, you just said you're that, and so anything else after that, I can't hear.
right, exactly.
So my stance has been to just leave it alone.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, that's how it occurs for me. I just leave it alone,
yeah,
and people will believe what they want to believe.
right.
And if they don't want to believe what you have to say or what I have to say, there's nothing I'm going to say or you're going to say that's going to change their minds. It's just the way it is. And I'm that way too.
Well, that's exactly what I'm pointing to, is that the mind can be changed because so many people are talking about it, even if it goes against your own principles. And that's what I'm really pointing to.
Right. So, what is the consciousness calling for?
Yeah,
For me, it's calling for truth.
true. That's exactly what I was thinking.
What is the truth?
What is the truth?
Well, that is a very good question. Where do
Mm,
you find the truth?
really?
That's so that opens up like another box here. Where do you find the truth?
Do you find it
You,
by
you,
reading more?
you listen for it. You listen
Right.
for it. I'm not going to books or movies or experts or government officials. No. If
Yeah.
I think I'm going to find the truth out there, I'm going to be sorely disappointed, feel misled, etc.
Yeah.
So that's where I reclaim my own sovereignty, my own spirit. And, it's like, you know, calling it back, standing in it. And, and for me, it's, I go to the woods, I make a fire, and I sit down and I'm like, I need to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on. I want to know. That's really the declaration. I want to know.
Exactly.
And spirit will tell you because you've asked.
Because you've asked, and no prayer goes unanswered.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Yes. And
but
to
we back
pray,
to the question.
pardon?
How many of you will ask the question just to ask the question? What I want to know.
It's a
What do I?
powerful question.
Yes, it is.
Not everyone is even thinking of that question. Not everyone's even prepared to receive what that question may give them is in the way of an answer. And
Right.
so, boy, I mean, that's no small thing. And
Yeah.
that's about like preparing the soil of your own listening to receive deeper, more deeply, and ever more deeply the answer to that question: what is the truth? And Here's how I heard it when I was in the woods was the truth is written everywhere for you to find. It's not hidden. And it was also placed in the last place we would ever look, which is in our own heart.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. It's like when you look there, you will find everything you need to know in
Yeah.
that place of your love and connection to source.
Yeah.
It's all there for us.
Yeah.
Our immunity, our strength of spirit, our the integrity and the vitality of our being. If you don't want to know about those things and you want outside experts to tell you, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
But is that what's right? I don't know. If it's right for you, it's right for you. I mean, who am I to decide? I stopped having the conversation about immunization and vaccinations with my patients unless there was a listening for it,
Uh-huh.
because the outer noise was so loud and so strong and so convincing. Very
Yeah.
hard to speak into that kind of noise unless there's a listening for it.
Right.
You know?
You're absolutely right.
Even in my own family,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
did not vaccinate our kids. It was like, no way, that's happening on my watch. And my wife was in alignment with that.
Yeah.
Just ain't gonna happen. I didn't have to justify it to anybody,
Yeah.
like that. And that's, I knew enough to know, nope. And they're strong and healthy kids.
Yes, of
They've
course.
gotten sick.
Because
They
they
got sick
built
and
their
got better.
own, yeah, they built their own immunities in other ways.
We
Yes.
didn't handicap it with foreign material going into their body to build their immunity. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Right.
You
No,
know?
the body's really, really smart. Smarter like like 10 graduation hats, you know? Very,
Yes.
very, the intelligence of the universe has everything, including all those microbes, germs, bacteria, viruses in your body already working to build their own immune system.
We are teeming with bacteria. I mean, most people, like, we are just like veritable bacteria factories. There's more, I don't know, to the what power, you
Right.
know, that we're inhabited by bacteria.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
But the bigger conversation that we're having is about the connection. And so here's what we're saying, in my view, and I want to hear yours. The concepts that we live in the mind can be very strong and very influenced. They can be swayed.
Yes.
And when you're connected to your divine intelligence, you know truth. And when you're looking for truth and you just want the truth, then you hear it and feel it in your body and you know it. There's nothing that can convince you when your knowing is in alignment with your truth.
Yes. And well, from what we were saying earlier, I wanted to touch on that to say, the body is supremely intelligent, correct? Just in that it can manufacture a hormone or a substance, secrete it in just the right amount, and send it to just the right place to get the result that's needed and wanted. But what rules the body is the mind. So you could say then that the body is really inert. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel except what the mind tells it to think and feel. It's the intelligence of the mind that informs the body to do what it does, like that. And to the extent that we're connected to the greater mind is to the extent that we have, really great function.
Right,
Even if things go wrong, it's like, well, it's not, there's something wrong with you now. It's just
right.
whatever's happening to the organism.
Yeah, exactly. And the organism usually when you're feeling pain is detoxing something. And
Yes.
it feels like pain because it's dense
Mm-hmm.
and it needs to move, and sometimes it's been blocked for too long,
Yeah.
and when it needs to move it's painful. So you don't have to have things removed out of your body to be healed. You just kind of breathe into it, give it some space to heal. This is what I was taught:
Mm-hmm.
breath and water and divine prayer,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's too simple. There's no money in that, by the way.
by the way, if I only had big pharma money, I might be able to get this message out a little farther.
Yeah.
But however, God is working it the way it's supposed to. But I will tell you, when I stub my toe, and I've done it twice this week, same toe, same way, and I immediately, my first reaction is always to go directly to my toe, put my hand on it, and say, I'm so sorry. I
Mhm.
didn't mean to do that, but I wasn't watching where I was going. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I love you, Toe. You're awesome. I
Yeah.
need you. You're awesome. 10 minutes, pain is gone.
There you
Never
go.
never bruises, never have a elongated pain, nothing.
When something like that happens to me, I just like stop. I'm like, all right, what was that all about? I was in the woods not long ago, and I have this this beautiful handmade axe, and I call it the sacred axe, and I use it ceremonially to cut ties, to break connections that no longer serve, just as an energetic, symbolic thing. But I also use it to chop wood, incidentally. And one day I wasn't paying attention, and I was swinging the axe, and I missed, and the axe just kind of went right between my legs, like at the level of my lower legs and knees. And I stopped, and I'm like, whoa, that could have been bad if I'd hit my shin. And
Wow.
I picked that axe up, and I went over. I mean, it so sobered me. I went to the fire. I picked up the sage, and I blessed the axe. I put the cover back on it, and I set it down and just said, thank you. And I'll come back to you when I'm paying attention, you know,
Right,
like
right.
that. And isn't that like life? And this goes back really to the original question. What is the consciousness calling for? It's calling for us to be aware and to pay attention to what's happening
Yeah.
in our lives, from the most minute, I stubbed my toe, to I fell off a cliff, I almost cut off my leg. It's just pay attention. And that's what my guides told me way early on, was they would say, pay attention so you don't miss a thing, and pay attention, it's free.
That's good.
Pay attention, it's free.
Free.
I want to go back to something else we were talking about also, was this notion of surrender. It's not a passive thing. It's really a high level
Whew.
way of being, like a skill to just like let go and
Yeah,
trust.
yeah.
And another time for me, I'm like, I was really struggling, and I'm like, why are you so hard on me up there? Why are
Right.
you so hard on me? And I just, I'm like, I was in tears. I'm like, just struggling with things in my life at that time. And what I heard was, because you won't listen to me. And I'm like, listen to what? You won't listen and follow my will,
Mm,
like that. And I'm like, oh, I remember, well, they didn't tell me that right away, because I'm like, because you won't listen. And I stood up, and I'm like stomping around, getting more wood, built up the fire. Finally, I knelt down again. I'm like, listen to what? And that was when I heard my will, to follow my will for you.
yeah.
And that opened up a whole nother space of, what does that mean to follow the will of my higher power? you
Wow.
know so the
Yeah.
surrender is like, that's big.
Exactly. And it's kind of like when the light is shining on something that, like, you walk into a room and you shine a light and you can see. Well, the same is true with your consciousness. The light wants to come in, the darkness that is you gets shown the light, looks at it and says, here, this is what we want you to see. It's all in you. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that is the thing that divine wants us to be awake of, to be awake to our own conscious awareness. And the more we do that, the more our conscious awareness's density becomes more light,
Yeah.
which then can bring in even more direct consciousness, direct conversations, direct answers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes the ego is in the way, like a block, like, I think like a block of granite, it's just planted itself. And anytime, dang near every time I do go to the woods and just go do ceremony, it's I know it's so that I will see something about myself. And that's how they actually say it. We want you, they're so patient. They say, we want you to see something about yourself. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Really.
oh no, here it comes.
I don't know if I want to see this.
I know. But I know I've asked for it on some level, and and I get shown, and
Yeah.
it's like you're saying with the light coming on. Like I have my eyes open, of course, and see the fire and see whatever I see in the lighted space. But when I would close my eyes, this interior light seemed to come on inside, and I would just close my eyes open and just see, like turning the light off and on. Every
Yeah.
time I closed my eyes, the light came on.
Oh
So I
my,
knew that I was being metaphorically illuminated in the interior realm, in the
right,
inside the space, the symbolic space of my mind,
right, right. Well, the amygdala actually does light up.
Hmm. Well, that's it. Then my amygdala was lighting up.
It actually does. I've had two dreams where the exact same thing happened. It was so powerful. I was almost disoriented for a couple of days after each time, and it was years apart that I dreamed them. And what the dream was all of a sudden I was seeing like a band of golden light that I knew was all the way around me, and it reached out farther than farther than farther, as far as you could see or not see. I mean, it was just everywhere, and I felt it, and it just went pew, just like that in my appear. And then just following that, my teacher had told me a story, or told us a story. I was in a program, and that's how the amygdala lights up. Some people see it like a flame.
Yes.
Other people see it like, well, that's probably what you're getting, the
Mhm.
flame. Absolutely, the sacred fire. And for me, it was just this band of gold. It just went like that. And I dreamed it twice. And I mean, I was just like disoriented for days after it, because it seems to me in my healing, what I keep getting is a cellular shift when those kind of things happen.
Yeah.
So for days after, the body does some sort of shifting. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's energetic. And I
Mhm.
feel it running through my body, and it slows down and it runs some more. And and then but fortunately, I'm not a 40-hour a week worker from, getting paid from some corporation. So I give myself the space to let that happen and really surrender deeply to it, so that it can move without interruption,
Yeah.
whatever that cellular transformation is, because the body is denser than consciousness,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so when we want to be filled with the light, that's not an easy task. And it's also a very, very, very big request. And then when you get it, if you're doing things to distract from it, then you're not getting the full essence of it. That
Yes.
may not be true. I'm just saying, it's my opinion,
Yeah.
that you could block it by having busyness, because your mind is going and it's affecting,
Yeah.
like you said earlier, it's affecting the body. So I just slow down. I way slow down when that stuff is happening, and it's been happening since the full moon last week
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
me. It's been a very mystical time.
I really appreciate what you're saying, and I think it's really close to the bone in terms of truth. And that's something else that the consciousness is asking for, is that we pay attention like that to the cycles and the phases of our own body and slow down, because it doesn't get any more personal than that when it
Yeah.
comes to your own, like your own body, your well-being, your health, your energy, your capacity to deal with the day-to-day in your life.
Yeah.
You really have to tend to that, because if you don't, it spins out of control. And we all know what that feels like when things just get out of hand. We're just overwhelmed, overloaded. And so
And you have to think it through. And no, you don't have to think it through.
yeah, yeah, the discipline to just like, whoa, something's happening here. I just need to like chill out, go lay down, take some time off, be alone,
Right.
isolate myself for a little while to let whatever's happening run its course.
Right.
Like that.
And even to the point of, I know I did in the early days, look for someone else to validate what I'm feeling, what I'm going through.
Hmm.
And so look for, ask other people. But even that is like, no, if you want to know truth, you listen to your own body, your own experience, and then you share that with others, and doesn't matter what they think,
Yeah,
but you will serve them.
yeah.
You will serve other people just by sharing. And that's what you and I both do.
Hmm.
You go to the fire, I do videos.
You're close. It's kind of a lighted thing, you know. So, okay, back to the theme of our conversation. What is the consciousness calling for, asking
Yeah,
for? And it's trust. These are deep, deep elements of soul.
right.
Forgiveness, surrender, trust,
Yep,
gratitude.
yep.
These are all part of my work. You know, when I work with folks, we naturally go there. Go to the fire. I don't have to do anything. That shows up. You know,
Yes. It always shows up.
yeah, it's like it's just part of our beingness. You know,
Yeah,
these higher vibrational frequencies, if you will. You know, what I connected. I don't know if we talked about this before about forgiveness. Someone asked me, "What is forgiveness?" He was having really struggling with a fallout that he'd had with a family member, and I think anybody can identify with, you know, forgiveness usually is in response to being some kind of a wounding to us,
yeah,
having been hurt in some way. And I know that's part of it, but I'm like, there's more to it than that. And so I was out just for a walk asking myself, what is forgiveness? And
oh,
what
beautiful.
came to me was forgiveness is a state of being. It's a way of being in the world,
Yeah,
to be simply forgiving of the things I make up about myself, about others, about the way that it is, for
yeah.
what's happened to me and what I've transgressed against another, and just simply continue to forgive, to be in a space of forgiveness. And
Excuse
bless
me. You must be
you.
speaking the truth, because that was in the Jewish tradition when you sneeze on the truth.
Well, my nose tingles when I feel that, when truth is like up, my
Oh,
nose starts to
wow.
tingle and my eyes will water.
Oh, that's
So,
great.
yeah, but this is all connected. I mean, trust and forgiveness,
Yeah,
and trust and surrender,
yeah,
they're all very close. And so what's being asked for? To trust ever more deeply our own wisdom, but it's not just of us, it's that wisdom that's the wisdom of connection that comes to us and through us.
yeah,
Know that that will guide us, that will lead us out of the desert every time,
definitely.
you know.
With a drink of water.
Yeah. You're in a desert, take some water with you. That's actually my remedy. My kids are like, Dad, I'm like, have you had enough water? Drink more water.
Right.
Cramps, headache, stomach ache, you know, more water.
Hunger.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of times hunger is just a cry for water.
Yeah. You're dehydrated.
Yeah.
This is so
Wow,
good.
sweetie. So we haven't answered the question totally, but we've raised a few more questions.
Yes. And I think that's where the answer lies, is in the inquiry.
Yes.
You know, on the same note, I was doing some reading about this capacity of intelligence and problem solving to be able to hold opposing ideas in our mind to find a different answer, one that's outside the box.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of a quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald. He said the sign of high intelligence was the ability to hold two opposing ideas in mind and still be able to function.
Wow.
And it made me think even deeper about that. And I thought, the sign of genius is to be able to focus yourself singularly on an idea and with other conflicting ideas in the around and not see the conflict, to not see the conflict
I love
and to
that.
stay focused on the idea.
I love that. So I remember something that Werner used to say, Werner Erhard, see if it fits in with this because my brain is not functioning that highly right now. So he used to say, the highest state of intelligence is confusion.
Huh.
And maybe that's talking about the different points of view, being able to hold them all at once. And that is confusing and overwhelming to people. But what emerges then is the higher view,
Yes.
possibly.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and we could probably tease out the deeper meaning of what that means to be confused and be in a high state of intelligence.
Yeah. Or it
But
becomes the state
become,
of confusion becomes a higher state of intelligence.
yeah. To
Yeah.
not be consumed by the confusion or waylaid, or
Yeah.
frustrated, but simply to be with it until something else emerges. That's
Yeah.
what you've been asking for,
Yeah.
praying for.
And that's, I just want to interject. That's one of the things that I do say most often. It's my most favorite used quote because with my clients, people come to me that have a high state of overwhelm and confusion and need to do and super amounts of doubt. And I relax the mind because by giving them phrases like that. Well, the highest state of intelligence is confusion. So they're not, they then stop making themselves wrong immediately and realize that they're going to realize something out of that state.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
'cause when you walk around with a relaxed mind, you can know anything. You can feel truth. It's so simple.
Yes. Yes. And I want to one more thing about that, because I'm in the throes of my work these days and recognizing I'm not even going to say balance, but there's uh, this way of cycling through periods of rest, periods of intense focus, come out, get something to eat, go back in, come out, stretch, go back in, go out, walk, clean a toilet. It's like this, just cycling through, like, and then even more so, and this is very recent for me, and this how it came to me again was just trust the flow here. Trust that you don't have to like go crazy trying to get something done. Just trust the flow, and we're going to get it done
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. Like there's help coming in to help me move through this. Stay with it.
Yeah.
Hold to that idea,
Yeah.
and you'll be guided in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you push the river, you find that the timing may not be right for what it
Right.
is you're pushing through.
Mhm.
And so to just relax a little bit, but if you have a relaxed mind, you can see that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm pushing. I got it. Okay, I'll just do this instead. Let that rest for a while and then come back. Because then when it happens, it happens in such a beautiful flow. And
Yes.
usually something more will happen than you ever expected.
Yeah. I just got something from what you said.
Oh, wow, fabulous.
There's yeah, there's focus, which seems like intense and like you're wrapped around something.
Yeah,
But the counterintuitive aspect of it is the mind's relaxed while you're like that. to be relaxed and focused at the same time is a flow state. It's a peak experience.
Yes. Yes.
People pay a lot of money for that. They take drugs for that. They meditate for years to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly. Yeah, they pay a lot of money for that. No,
Yes.
that's how I've been working with people, and it evolved over time.
Mhm.
when when it just was like, okay, I thought I was working with people on healing, but it ended up to be the mind healing the body.
Yeah.
It ended up to be the mind relaxing so that healing could occur.
Yes, exactly. That's it. The
Yes.
mind relaxing, so healing. What is natural in all the world is healing. And we are here to heal.
Yes, we are.
Maybe that's what the consciousness is asking for, is that we just allow ourselves to heal while we're in this time space reality,
Yeah.
this insane illusory world, and just let it be, relax. It's all going to work out. And don't worry, it'll be over soon. I had to bring a little morbidity into it.
Don't worry, it's a short life.
We're only here for the weekend,
Even 100 years is nothing.
I know, drop in the bucket. Oh, so just chill, have fun while we're here.
Yeah, have fun while we're here. Oh, you're such a delight, Tom. It's so fun talking to you.
Yeah, same here. I look forward to doing this again, and same question, different question. It doesn't matter. We're getting to the bottom of something that's bottomless.
That's right, exactly. And that has no real answer, but the questions of humanity,
Yeah.
the prayers of humanity. Oh, I wanted to give you a little bit about why I thought this came to me. Because we've gone through this year of just, wow, so many different constructs we had to change and live through. Well, I was in meditation one day, and I recalled in 2006 when I first went to India and met with my teachers. And we're in process, and of course there's a lot of meditation on questions. And the question, or the teaching that we got, had to do with the darkest of times, the Kali Yuga, and we as a society are moving into the lightest of times, the Satya Yuga. And that called for a lot of praying. You can imagine, well, we're kind of in the darkest of times now. So that you can imagine the darkest of times takes a lot of prayer to bring us to the light. And so my teacher said, I came as a response to those prayers.
I love it. Yes.
It was a calling. And I'm getting chills just saying
Yeah.
that. And so when I realized this thing that we're in is bigger than us as individuals, it's a collective big thing. We're all being affected by it in many different ways, but we are being affected, and it's not a good effect. There's really not a lot of good that's come out of it, except how we've grown internally. And I thought, I just came in meditation. I was like, I think there's another prayer that wants answered right now.
Yes.
It could be
Yes.
that it's the same prayer. And
Ye-
we are the ones who are on the path, are the ones that are sharing with people now. Did you
Yes.
go away?
I'm still here.
Okay, you're okay. Yeah,
Yes, I love what you're saying. And just as you said, your teacher came in response, so are we.
that's
You've been praying, I've been praying. It's coming through us, and it's coming. We are I say how they tell me, you're the man in the trenches. You're the woman in the trenches. We're the mouthpiece for spirit. We're the embodiment. It doesn't make us special or even different. It's just to say we're the embodiment, and we know it's coming through us. So
yeah,
we've got work to do. We just got to share and open and have these kinds of conversations and help other people to wake up to their own voice and their own divinity to the greatest extent possible. That's not to say people are completely disconnected,
Yeah.
and so that we can each do our part.
Right.
We can each do our part.
That's it. You're absolutely right. You just answered the question.
And just
I'm
in the
gonna
nick of
give
time,
you the credit.
we did it together. It's like the guys that discovered the DNA, Cricks and the other guy.
Yeah, it's like we really are source to resource, and it is us. We are the answer. And how many times have we heard that phrase, we're the answer we've been looking for?
Yes,
Oh
exactly.
my gosh.
But here's what happens.
I just got
Who,
that.
me? Yeah, like who, me? I mean, me?
Me?
Like I've said to you before, I'm like, in the woods, I'm like, why are you telling me these things? And they're like, because you asked,
Right.
and you need to come forward now. We're calling you out. And I'm like,
Wow.
but I don't know if I want to come out. Doesn't matter. You think you have a choice. Well, go ahead. I even said once, don't I have a choice? And they said, well, you have a choice. You already decided, but you have a choice. Go ahead.
That's right.
But you already decided
That's right.
long ago, before you came, we said we would come together in this life to help each other to awaken. And the time is now.
Wow. That's beautiful. And
Yeah.
that's your destiny. And you're right. When I fell off of the cliff, one of the things I got that was the most impactful for me was when God told me that we all have a piece of the puzzle, and it's so important that we all interact with each other so that others can hear us
Yeah.
and keep opening the door, because every single person that's here at this time during this great transition has something to give if you're willing to open to it.
Yes. And all we can do is meet people where they're at and help them on the way. Like, just take my hand, we'll kneel together. We go in, we come out, we go in together, we come out together. That's like the pure spirit of it.
Yeah, so beautiful. Oh God, Tom, thank
Thank
you
you, Kate.
so much.
This has been great. I
Oh,
hope our listeners like this too. I mean,
I
we're
hope that,
doing this for you guys.
yeah, it's all for you. This comes out of my personal prayer, which is every day, how may I serve?
Hmm.
Every day.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
Very similar.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to give a little blessing, and I would like you to give a little blessing.
Okay.
I would like to say, please know who you are. Please allow yourself to be a little bit open, and that little bit will grow naturally. Don't resist it. That's all I'm going to ask. Don't resist that the knock on your little sweetheart that says open, breathe and open, and let the true you shine exactly for the way it is. There's no one judging you.
Mm.
We want you just the way you are. You were made for this, and we want you right now just the way you are. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you. And the prayer that I offer is a prayer for peace, and that each of us does our part to awaken at the appointed time so that we can do the work and give the gifts and live the life that we're meant to live, and to allow ourselves to be guided, to trust ever more deeply along the way, to forgive at every turn ourselves and those around us and the world for the way that it is, that we surrender to a higher power, to the presence and to the guidance of spirit, and that we express our gratitude in every way possible for everything, the challenges, the sweet moments, everything, every person that crosses our paths. And then when it comes time to let go and express our grief, we do that thoroughly and completely so there's space for more life to come through us. Amen. Aho. And so on.
Oh, mm,
Thank you.
beautiful. Thank you.
Mm.